Over the next few years, Diddy and 50's beef went quiet, likely due to all the success on both sides. But behind the scenes, tension was brewing. By 2003, both men were megastars in the rap game in their own rights. One interesting moment occurred when the two crossed paths on the 28th of August 2003, as Diddy ended up presenting the award for Best Rap Video at the MTV VMAs award show, with the winner being none other than 50 Cent for In Da Club.
And the award for Best Rap Video goes to, come on, Playboy, 50 Cent.
And 50 Cent and Eminem would touch the stage, dapping up Diddy, seemingly on good vibes. However, that same year, something would happen that changed everything, because apparently one chance encounter between Diddy and 50 Cent had 50 feeling some type of way. Apparently in 2003, New York music executive Chris Lighty, who was close to both 50 and Diddy, held a star-studded wedding, where Lighty tied the knot with his wife Veronica. Both 50 and Diddy were in attendance, and 15 years later, whilst on an interview with The Breakfast Club, 50 revealed that Diddy had said something to him that made him uncomfortable.
He said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
50 would also elaborate on this strange offer on his 2020 Drink Champs interview, when it was revealed that 50 and Diddy had been placed together on the same table at the wedding, and it was incredibly awkward.
He's like, I had 50, I think it's Steve Stout and Puff at the same table.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was the most awkward ever, and that you was instigating some shit.
And it was at this point that Diddy made the strange comment, offering to take 50 Cent shopping and pay for everything.
Then Puff was like, first he was amping him to get Stout. Then he was like, so when we gonna get the chance to, to kick it, like we could just hang out. We gotta kick it.
This is
Puff.
Okay.
He telling me we gotta kick it, and he was like, why don't we go shopping or some? I mean, I pay for it. And I was like, what the fuck this just say? I got the away from him because I was like, this nigga, fucking, this just tell me he'd take me shopping.
Clearly this comment had gotten under 50's skin. It's unclear if this was a misinterpreted attempt at Diddy being friendly to 50, or a sign of disrespect trying to mock his fashion sense, or perhaps, even worse, a deeply disturbing attempt at mind games to put 50 Cent in a subordinate position.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to a girl. Don't make like it's just me, man. What if you do some like a little fluffy stuff going on?
Regardless of the intent, 50 was troubled by the way that Diddy was behaving at the wedding, and from 2003 onward, he would continue making subtle jabs at Diddy in his music, such as the slick line on the November 4th, 2003 G-Unit track, Poppin' Them Thangs, where 50 joked about the time Diddy assaulted label executive Steve Stout. Luckily, the charges were dropped and the two were back friends. They'd seemingly spent time on good terms, for example being pictured together at showbiz events in 2004. But this would all change in 2006 when 50 Cent was gearing up to release his mixtape, G-Unit Radio 22, Hip Hop is Dead. As before the release of this tape, 50 had been attempting to sign former Bad Boy Records star Mase to his G-Unit collective and label. They became close, with Mase even appearing in the music video to 50's hit song Window Shopper, which dropped in November 2005, perhaps sending a sign to the world that he had been window shopping for a new record deal. Funnily enough, there's a much deeper meaning to this, as it later emerged that 50 was offended and creeped out when Diddy offered to take him shopping, and in the music video, 50 had seemingly done the exact same thing, taking Mase out for a shopping spree. Interestingly, if you look deeply at 50's lyrics in the song, there's clearly numerous jabs at Diddy that wouldn't even make sense until over 20 years later. In the hook, 50 aims open-ended bars at an unnamed hater, saying that they're mad at him and he knows why, and claiming that somebody is mad when they see him drive by, calling out an unnamed op for screw-facing him but not having the heart to diss him, seemingly hinting at Diddy potentially failing to re-sign Mase, rapping, "Why you mad at 50 when you effed up your own rear?" and using a double entendre to say something is about to get stolen, a possible reference to Mase being poached by 50 Cent's label. But even deeper, the song has bars which I personally think hint towards some of the sexual depravity Diddy was exposed for 20 years later, such as 50 opening the track saying the top feels so much better than the bottom. And if you think I'm reaching, even Charlemagne in 2018 brought this line up when 50 told him Diddy had offered to take him shopping.
But you've been getting that for over a decade. I remember when you said the top feels so much better than the bottom.
Yeah, I've been saying this.
50 also made reference to freak-offs, which would later be mentioned in a big indictment against Diddy, and a remix of the song featuring Mase would later release as part of 50's mixtape, G-Unit Radio Part 16, as well as his Bulletproof video game soundtrack. Cameron would later question Mase on what on earth he was doing out shopping with 50 in the music video in a hilarious 2023 podcast.
In 50 Cent's video, Window Shopping, what was your role exactly in that?
What was my role?
Took you shopping. They said he scooped you and took you shopping in the video. That's what they told me. I didn't see the video in a while. He said, I don't know, I was just relaxing.
I'm gonna let you in.
This video caused issue between 50 and Diddy, as Mase was always a bad boy artist and was almost seen as Diddy's right-hand man. But ultimately, Mase was disgruntled with his deal and had made it public, with one article quoting him as saying even Diddy knew he wanted to leave the label. In fact, this MTV article seemed to portray the signing as a done deal, sporting a headline claiming that even Diddy was in favor of the deal, with quotes from Mase suggesting that he had pretty much decided that joining G-Unit was a done deal. Interestingly, the article suggested that Diddy and Mase had already discussed their contract buyout, and that Diddy had told the news with a grin that he's certain that 50 Cent has the money to buy Mase out of his deal. However, things weren't as sorted as they seemed, with 50 claiming in a 2014 Funk Flex interview on Hot 97 that Diddy did some sucker stuff over this deal.
Nah, ever since Mase, you've always had a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, he did some sucker.
You always had a bad taste in your mouth.
He was a sucker on the Mase project because he know what he did.
50 would recount a run-in at the Nobu restaurant with Diddy, claiming that Diddy told him it was all good and he was just waiting for 50 to take care of the finances to release Mase from his deal.
But then we was in Nobu, me, him, and Jimmy sitting there, right? He was at the table having dinner with some other people and came over. Yo, Playboy, yo, I thought, you know how we going Tiffany Cole right now. We pick up something, they ain't gonna say nothing. They gonna send us an invoice later. They gonna let us walk out. That's what I thought you was doing with Mase. I thought you was taking him on tour. When you come back, you gonna take care of me. I said, oh, it ain't nothing. So I just waiting for you to take care of me.
Interestingly, he also said that Diddy muddied the waters between 50 Cent and Jimmy Iovine, who 50 was in Nobu to have a meeting with about negotiating the deal for G-Unit artist The Game's next album, with Diddy apparently making a too good to be true offer for Mase, saying that he would give him the money to sign him and complete the album, and that 50 and Jimmy could keep the profits once Diddy had recouped from Mase's deal. Not only a too good to be true offer, but it also put 50 in a tough spot, with Jimmy, who was there to work out the G-Unit deal on The Game's next album.
When Jimmy gets all antsy, because right now he don't know we having a meeting to talk about him actually going, it's time to sell a Game album again, so he's trying to figure out how to have this conversation with me. I've never heard a person say this to me ever again in my career. He says, okay, look, you guys, make the deal. Like, look, I'll give up my profit.
But you felt good about that.
Yeah, make the project, and after we recoup the money that we spent, take the profits. Man, Mase might not even get a chance to write all of the record. I'm trying to write the record for him. Super good deal. Never ever again.
And you kind of feel Diddy made the deal hard.
Yeah, like after he just said something that I'm never gonna hear from my career ever again.
In this interview, 50 would then reveal that later, Diddy eventually told him that he was really expecting a whopping $2 million to release Mase from his contract, with 50 famously saying that Mase wasn't worth $2 million with $2 million in his pocket and that he'd have paid $1 million max.
Was there a number talked about?
Yeah, I was like, what you looking for that? He said $2 million. I'm like, Mase ain't worth $2 million with $2 million in his pocket. You crazy? It was $1 million over what that was supposed to. He could have got $1 million.
50 even said he felt like Diddy was trying to take advantage of him because he knew he was new to the game and that he had $2 million after the success of Get Rich or Die Trying.
He was trying to do that. You knew, like, let me get that. The $2 million.
You knew and you got it. Give it to me.
Yeah, give it to me. I'm like, man, you gotta be crazy, man.
This $2 million offer was far beyond what Mase was worth and pretty much a go F yourself offer. Diddy was pretending to be serious about letting 50 sign Mase, basically to waste his time and money. As Mase explained later, Diddy essentially blocked the deal from going through.
G-Unit was somewhat a deal that you guys tried to make happen. What went wrong with that deal?
You want the honest answer?
That's
what we're on there for.
Yeah.
You know why it didn't go through. Diddy didn't let it go through. That's the reason it didn't go through. He wanted 50 to give him all of the money he thought I owed him. And I thought he owed me money, so that was always the underlining battle, the invisible battle. So then when I said I wanted to go with G-Unit, he was trying to get all of the money back from 50 Cent. 50 Cent is a street guy. He's not going to pay that, So then you run into issues. So when Puff, he just kept saying he wanted $2 million, then he wanted $3 million, and he was just trying to make it where we wouldn't have a budget if you give him all the money. You know how Puff is. You're going to cut your arm off to get free.
Okay.
So if you get free, you're going to have an invisible leg.
This was a furious head-to-head and a deep situation when you think about it. 50 came up as a rapper and reached the top of the game before trying his hand at business and the executive positions. Meanwhile, Diddy had somehow managed to climb the greasy pole as an executive with handy deals made behind the scenes that propelled him to the top of the boardroom as a label executive, with Diddy using his industry clout and the help of actually talented writers like 50 to eventually make himself a famous rapper too. Now 50, a successful artist, was trying to poach one of the most famous artist who had helped Diddy make a name for himself. This would represent a serious challenge for dominance in the backrooms of the rap industry and set the stage for an intense beef that would unfold for years to come. 50 Cent would escalate the beef to new heights when he dropped his P. Diddy diss track, The Bomb, aka Hip Hop, ahead of that mixtape's release. Articles began to circulate at the end of August 2006 saying 50 Cent just dropped the bomb on Diddy. The song itself was a remix of Dead Prez's classic track Hip Hop with one of the most iconic beats in the history of rap. On the track, 50 rapped that Diddy knew who killed Biggie and that he was scared of the boys who did it from the West Side. The song had a boastful hook where he claimed that him and his G-Unit crew run hip hop in its entirety, not Diddy. 50 would also rant at Diddy on the outro with a long tirade that dissed Diddy into another dimension. He mocked Diddy's party, saying that he won't be getting invited to the white party in the Hamptons after this diss, but 50 doesn't want to come to the white parties anyway, and he doesn't want to hang out with Diddy's punk. He'd then move on to rant about Diddy blocking him signing Mase, saying that he doesn't even want Mase anymore, going on to say that Diddy and Mase wasted his time on purpose and that Diddy should reimburse him $50,000 in travel fees for flying around the world trying to help Mase. He'd even claimed that somebody told him something about Diddy that he could easily expose. Now, this song caused a huge splash when it was released, but funnily enough, in recent months, since the FBI's raids on Diddy's properties, it's actually had a resurgence, with YouTube commenters joking that the feds must have been spinning this song during the raid. It seemed that following this, rather than outright beef, 50 Cent opted to kill his enemies with success, and going into 2007 in August, when the Forbes Hip Hop Cash Kings list was announced, 50 Cent had actually overtaken Diddy, ranking number 2 behind Jay-Z, with Diddy in 3rd place as the top 3 earning rappers. However, it may well have been the case that 50 was actually the number 1 spot secretly, as the deal for Coca-Cola to buy vitamin water, which 50 Cent invested in early, was only announced a little more than a week before this list went public. And since 50 was set to make a rumored 9-figure sum from the deal, he may well have been number 1 by a landslide, but the numbers weren't actually known yet. Now go check my vintage video on that topic if you want to know the whole story. But clearly, there was a lot of competition between the top earners in hip-hop, and interestingly, all of them were New Yorkers. Funnily enough, despite their bitter rivalries, less than a week later, all 3 of these rich rappers would end up having a dramatic run-in with each other. On August 22nd, 2007, T.I. and Ciara's Screamfest tour would go to Madison Square Garden in New York, and at the show, there would be a surprise performance by T.I., Jay-Z, Kanye West, 50 Cent, and Diddy. This was a wild moment and included some strange things, because when Jay-Z realized 50 Cent had walked onto the stage, it seemed like a frosty introduction, and there was a little tension between them.
We got, hey.
You can get down. You can get down. It's all good.
This a real special moment, ain't it?
Come on, you can get something.
This a real special moment. Uncle Diddy in the house. 50 had to come back out and make my show hot. I so appreciate it. Hey 50, I'm glad you up here because you can share my enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Some have suggested that this was completely unplanned and that 50 Cent actually invaded the stage and strong-armed the others into letting him stay, asserting his dominance as the king of New York rap, with it being suggested that Jay's introduction showed him he was rattled and didn't have a choice but to let 50 stay on the stage.
We got, hey.
You can get down. You can get down. It's all good.
This a real special moment, ain't it?
Come on, you can get something.
This a real special moment.
During Kanye's performance of Can't Tell Me Nothing, Diddy and 50 would be seen running around the stage separately, and all 5 would stand side by side on the stage in a legendary moment that sent the fans wild. But quite a few weird things played out in the dynamics between these frenemies of rap royalty during this performance. 50 would begin hilariously counting a large wad of money on stage, and 50 and Diddy would then seem to walk towards each other for a moment before the camera cut back to T.I. At one point, Diddy seems to be creeping up behind 50 with 50's head on a swivel and watching out for Diddy approaching him, and perhaps for good reason, because this is where Diddy famously spanked Jay-Z's bottom in front of the whole crowd in a bizarre play of power. Now, I'll be honest, having watched this closely, it seems that 50 continually keeps his distance from Diddy, with Diddy seemingly keeping eyes on 50 and often trying to get closer to him. At one point, 50 is actually distracted by the crowd, and Diddy does a complete 360 turn and keeps eyes on 50's rear. But then, right at the end, Diddy actually runs in with his arm around Ye and throws his arm around 50 Cent, with 50 visibly pulling back from Diddy's embrace and quickly shaking him loose. Right at the end, the two would face off for a tense moment where, to me, 50 looks like he's mean-mugging Diddy slightly. It was an insane moment and wild timing, all happening just a week after all of these artists fought it out to decide who would be the hip-hop's top moneymaker in Forbes magazine. But perhaps this event, or the fact that they were all getting money, brought them together, as not long after that event, the remix to 50 Cent's smash hit I Get Money drops, which is called the Forbes $123 billion remix, featuring both P. Diddy and Jay-Z dropping verses on 50's hit song. Interestingly, at the time, Jay-Z claimed that 50 50 actually wanted to get him and Diddy on his remix, which showed the world there was no longer hate between them. The remix itself didn't feature any shade by 50 and was mainly just braggadocious bars. However, in Diddy's verse, he dropped many questionable lyrics that today would have anyone giving the side-eye. Ironically, he started his verse ending the first 3 lines with the phrase, "Diddy did it," and the 4th by saying his lawyer is so good that Diddy got acquitted. For now, it seemed that Diddy and 50 had actually become friends, or at least neutral for the time being. However, in a 2008 MTV interview backstage, Diddy and 50 had a play fight after 50 crashed a Diddy interview to promote his new reality show.
Broaden everybody's horizons. Yeah, definitely. I was looking for you. I tell you, get your hand out my pocket, man. Get your hand out my pocket. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing on the channel. Get your hand out my pocket, man. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I see, yo. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, man. I see what you're doing. Nah, look at me, man. I see what you're doing, man. Yeah, you gonna make me. Okay, I'm telling you right now. When I want to work for Diddy, I'm gonna physically put my hands on somebody for the ratings because he's not going to outdo me. I'm going to physically. I'm going to go to Central Book. Yeah. I'm used to it. I know what it is. But get your hand on my pocket. Get off my channel, boy. I love this show. Though.
You got the brand new show. Have you seen it?
I love this show.
Donald Trump's seen it as well.
Yeah. Donald Trump said my show is a knockoff of The Apprentice. I said, what's the matter with Donald? I mean, he got a little age on him. You can see
to me, be honest, it felt a little. I want to work for Diddy inspired to me, though.
Yeah, but you know what? This is what I got to deal with, right? And these are my friends. But the guys that really don't like me, that's who you need to talk to.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I love this show, though. For real. I think it's important, like, when you see your friend getting into a new era and a new game, it's important if they do the right thing and they do it the right way. My man did his show the right way. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I love this show.
It seemed that while friendly, the two were still on thin ice, and soon the tension would be rising. Diddy and 50 appeared together again when 50 Cent became embroiled in a deep beef with Rick Ross. Now go check my vintage video on that if you don't know the story, but during the beef, 50 made several incredibly disrespectful vlogs and videos trolling Rick Ross, including one where he invited Rick Ross's son and his mother to Floyd Mayweather's mansion in Las Vegas, with an arguably uncomfortable looking Diddy appearing in the background for parts of the video. At one point, Diddy and 50 seem to be having a friendly conversation, and they go on to eat candy and chat with Floyd and film director Gary Gray for a while. This was surprising, as it seemed that Rick Ross and Diddy actually had a good relationship, but it's entirely possible that Diddy's presence there was completely unplanned. In fact, in the coming months and years, it would emerge that clearly Diddy was much closer to Rick Ross than 50 Cent on a personal level, as Rick Ross would later appear on the 2010 remix to Diddy's Dirty Money Crew's track Angels. And a few months later, in April 2010, it would be announced that Diddy had become Rick Ross's official manager, with Rick Ross later claiming in an interview that their relationship is much deeper than just rap, and later announcing that they were recording a joint project together under the name Bugatti Boys, and releasing the track Another One. Unfortunately, as Rick Ross's beef with 50 Cent ended up getting extremely raw and personal, no doubt 50 begun seeing Diddy and Ricky in the same batch as certified ops. But in the years that followed, there was less personal back and forth between Diddy and 50. Perhaps 50 knew how terminal Diddy's decline would eventually be. He seemed to keep a safe distance from hip-hop supervillain, but eventually, just like the situation with Mase, the beef between Diddy and 50 would be reignited once again, with the war playing out this time in the business boardrooms rather than in disses in songs.